I don't think there's anything I can say about Dr. Loro. I think most of you know him already. Tony was born in Italy. Do you want the year?
1934. No, 1934, but 1934.
1934. But he grew up in Argentina.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Around the world.
And you got your degree there.
Yeah, I'm American citizen.
Yes. And he went to San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And began a family there.
Right.
Also a museum. And one of his prime achievements is he has a painting in the Metropolitan in New York that was accepted from a win. So now you're going to paint us another.
Well, not like a masterpiece, it's only 1 hour. Our work is just a
2 hours.
It takes you at least 2, right?
Thank you very much for coming today. I appreciate it very much. I want to talk about a few minutes about composition, because everything in art, the composition is the most important thing. And then after I finish the painting, I open for questions, and we're going to still to talk about composition, because for me, composition is one of the most challenging and powerful aspects of a painting. So it is a technical foundation of art painting. Without it, the painting will fall down. So that's why the equilibrium of the composition is important. And I have something before start. I have something to show to you. We have the rule of third. I don't know if everybody heard about that. We have,
Sneak past just so I can be on the right side of this discussion.
and we have the golden section. So the rule of third, the rule of third is the basic rule that has been used for ages. Ancient. We talk about over 5,000 years, and we still use it today. It was used by ancient Greek masters, Egyptian, Babylonians, etc., etc. So it's really the most important composition for all the artists use even today. Then we have a rule of golden section. The golden section was created in the time of Renaissance, Leonardo, etc. So it's almost very close to the old one. But they call it the golden section, and we'll talk about what is being golden. Because we have a golden triangle, we have a golden rectangle, we have a golden spiral, and on and on. But there is a meaning for that word. Because that word, golden, means matte combination. So, but before I go ahead with this, I need to mention the name of an Italian mathematician, very important. He was born in Florence in 1446. He was a genius of the mathematics. And he said, without mathematics, there is no art. So it's so true. But it don't mean only for painting, but sculpture, literature, architecture, and of course music. Mathematics is over everything in art. It's the most important. He was so bright, so brilliant, a Renaissance man. He was invited to Milan to teach mathematics to the court of the Duke of Lodovico Sforza. And one of his students will be, guess who? Leonardo da Vinci. Luca Borgiano. And he teach mathematics to Leonardo, geometry, proportionality, and so on and so on. They stick together for 7 years. But if you think about Leonardo, one of the greatest arborist did is a mural, is the Last Supper. He used this composition. After 5 centuries, Salvador Dali also he did the sacrament of the Last Supper, and he used exactly the same composition. So this is one of the most important compositions in history. Today I will use the rural source with some variation because I'm free to do something different to that. But the rule is there. This is very important to start. It's going to be a simple landscape, okay? And then we're going to talk about other things and discussion. Any question you have, please let me know. This is I was talking another time. This is a golden rectangle. Everything is golden. You see, and this is a math integration. Everything is mathematical, everything in art. But we talk later. Now, I'm going to start to do the painting. First of all, I'm going to divide. Very simple. Just by eyes. The rule of third. Okay. My composition is going to be a little different. You have the idea, but then you can change it. For example, I'm going to divide it here. I'm going to go down here too. What it means, when I don't use exactly the proportion, even they should be here. I do in the sky a compensation for this one, which means there's only a balance. That's why it's so mathematical. Everything is so important. It's going to be a sky. And again, we have a 4 point here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have to 2 spaces and 1 space. 2 spaces and 1 space. These are mathematical. We will see very soon. painting is supposed to, by the law, every square inch is supposed to be a little different. So we cannot repeat all the same sky, otherwise we can paint the wall. So, but the idea is to create every square inch something different.
Tony, why are you starting with a dark background?
Hmm?
Why are you starting with a dark background?
Oh, because in this painting I used to have a Venice landscape. So I used any color I have. You know, so there is no reason for that. No. It's just because I have this color, I say, well, let's use it. But it's a beautiful Venice here behind.
Oh, wow.
I don't have because I have a frame for this, I said, I had to use this frame, this canvas. So you mix color here and there and find a beautiful palette. It's going to be a fresh landscape. And then we go back, now we start to here. Let's see. You see, I go back and forth and create more colors. And that's what it's all about. This is just the beginning. change a brush. I use one brush for everything, but. That's fine, sir. Okay. And this is the first impression. See? And I will explain to you why I did this and what we're going to change. Okay, how long it took there, Baroness?
It's about an hour, so
Eh?
about 20 minutes, 25 minutes left.
25 minutes, okay. This is an idea how to start a painting, and the composition, it's very clear that we have, I need to show this. The composition is too clear that we have one space, 2 and 3. See, 1, 2, 3. And then you can have all the equilibrium have to have 2 and 1, 2 and 1, which I have a 1, 2, and 1. See, that's why the balance is so good, because it's under these rules. See? So for now, the idea is there. And now you have to think about, or back a little bit to see what I'm doing. Because usually I go back and forth. But you see, the idea is there. Sometimes it can be landscape, sometimes you can see a seascape, because I can convert this in Venice in the water. So there's all the kind of possibility. So now I have to work about the balance of the color everywhere. And sometimes I say, okay, let me see what I can use the next brushes. And I start with the second time. I remove some color. And now is the time to reflection. How go ahead the second color? How I'm going to finish? The balance has to be more blue here, some light over here. See, everything is mathematical now. I'm cleaning my painting with a same little bit. Some colors here.
It's
the painting, you have to build color. It's like in music, a symphony, a good note. If it is a bad note, it doesn't look good to your eyes. But you have to build and go always by balance. When you have some light here, you have to light here. Dark, you have to dark. So this is the time now to build the painting. Okay, so it's just patient. Sometimes I let it dry, and the next day I go back, and then maybe in a few couple of days it's finished. Now it's also wet, but anyway, I do whatever I can.
Tony, sort out. Tony.
Yeah, okay. Very important on the landscape, the mountain don't show the hard line because it's the distance. And the reason we don't see the straight line or we don't see the right color is because there's the atmosphere in between us. And that's why it's blurry, the distance. right there. Some opinion.
Do you see the image that you managed to create prior to beginning?
I don't know, I start something and then I change completely. I don't know what I finish. It's an idea because then it starts with different idea and another idea. But you see the composition, what I mean before, the rule of 4 is so important because everything is balanced. And that's important. In other way, it's gonna fall down the painting. Everything is perfect balance. And that's why, well, there is a painting I want to show. My painting there, the nude, for example. You see, there is two spaces and one space. You see, it's always the law. And
Even in the abstract.
even the after there's a space. But even look at this still life. 2 spaces and 1 is always under the law of the composition. It's so important. Let me see if I can have a time for another painting, but because this is so wet. Okay, let me see what I can do. But this is a kind of fresh impressionist painting, you see. Some suggestions on that?
Some suggestions.
You, Martha?
No.
No?
Tony's student.
Huh?
Tony's
Yeah.
student.
Oh,
As
no.
a, yeah. As a I was wishing I had brought the, as a student of Dr. Loro's many years ago, he allowed me 3 tubes of primary color and a black and a white. And he said, this is it, and you will learn to mix. And then after a couple of lessons, he brought in a little mat board with a 1-inch square cut out of it. And he said, when I walk up to your painting, anywhere I put this better be a painting within itself of color. Of course, terrified me. But I did learn to be quite a colorist in the ability to mix color, and as he said in the beginning, was constantly changing the colors so that there is a balance. But Dr. Loro, you're using cool and warm colors on this painting.
Right.
So, and generally rule of thumb is you have a warm painting or you have a cool painting.
Yeah, because
So why
sometimes.
don't you explain how you're doing that?
Yeah, sometimes painting can be colorful and sometimes can be monochrome. Or everything cool color or everything warm color. When you combine warm and cool, the balance is very important. Everything is mathematical too. Everything has to balance in color, in shape, in form. That's why Luca Pacioli, it was so right when he said mathematics is everything in art. And so I have a feeling to do something different, but it's now when you see what I'm doing, then I say, oh, that would be nice to do this in this way, that way. You know, but now I'm going to start with the warm here. now I open for a question. I'd like to think, when you think, any question you would like to say about what I thought about the composition, the color or something, please.
Okay, I would like for you to explain, you just spoke about balance of the warm and the cool.
Right.
And so, would you mind pointing out what your balance exactly is between the warm color and the cool color?
Yeah, you see the warm color are more here, which means it's one side and two side. But the balance of this warm color is this. See, because without this, it fell apart. It fell apart. That's why everything had to be balanced. And for the lower gravity, always in the time you go down is darker. I still thinking about this is enough to sustain the rest. Because usually we have one dark and maybe one light in order to balance the color. Other questions, something about? No question? Nobody said one thing? About composition, about something, whatever you want to say? Yeah.
If you hadn't started with the color of the canvas that you did, would you have added that warm sienna at the bottom?
On the bottom, yes, because sometimes I put the background in green, red, depending what color I have left over. And sometimes it's help you to have this effect of the color, which means the one color here also is balanced the one over there. They all is a balance.
And that's why you left the canvas showing through the blue.
Yes, because it's very important. It's a good effect.
It's a good,
It's a good
primary,
effect.
yeah.
And now when we this put in the frame, I will going to put very soon, you will see how important, how different it looks. It's like a window with a curtain. It looks different.
The red seems to make the blue vibrate. That was your intention?
Right. Everything is vibration, and that's why the color should be like a music, a symphony. And sometimes you see a painting, they say something wrong, I don't know what it is. It's because the color, they are not balanced. And sometimes they are, in art we have a frame color, enemy color. And the music the same thing, it's the same law. So you have to be careful how to paint, how to balance, to don't get dirty, and especially enemy color. There's so many.
So it's not the quantity of balance, it's not because you have so much warm right there with the hot pink,
Right.
and just a little bit on the side. The eye still feels the balance, is that what you're saying? It's not the amount, it's just that it has to be there.
Yeah, something it has to be sustained the rest of it. And now if I don't have time to talk, but this is it's a good fresh impression.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we got first intention. And then, then about this, then you can go on and on and on. I would like to see the effect of the frame. What is the frame? I want to see how it looks a second, and then we decide.
May I ask you about another painting?
Excuse me?
May I ask you about another
Yeah,
painting?
sure.
What made you decide not to frame that one? This one here?
Oh, I just sometimes it's kind of very modern, something very simple. Sometimes I frame it, and then the customer throw away it and change the frame. So sometimes it's a kind of wasting money to frame, and then they don't no use it. So this is whatever they want to frame is fine. This, for example, I just put the lattices around. That one big one also doesn't have no frame.
Right.
Okay. And just a second.
Just wanna hold it?
Hold it like this. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to see. Can you put that on here? One side. Okay. Good. That's it. No, it's fine, it's fine. You see sometimes the frame how make a difference.
Yeah.
It is very fresh, it's a painting, instant painting. And sometimes in my studio, I have a 4 or 5 canvas, and I can do 4 or 5 paintings a day easy. And then I go back, then I say, oh God, now I'm gonna change this and I'm gonna change that. I do all the time changing.
Ferments sometimes.
Because sometimes I start with this and then I change completely.
Oh my God.
So this is the art. You never know where you finish. You never know. But the idea is there. So, whatever question or something, I'd like to. Anything you want to know, please.
When you added light to this right-hand quadrant at the top.
Right here. Or to the
No, to the right.
Right.
To my right, sorry.
Sure.
When you first put it on,
Yeah.
I didn't like the light, the color of the light.
Yeah.
It's grays and a little bit of yellow, I think, and maybe
Yeah.
white.
Yeah.
I think the yellow is important, but usually in a sky like this, you see more yellow.
Yeah. It's because also there is that's important. These are two friend color. Red and green are friend color. You don't have to be a strong red or a strong green. But these look at the eyes look very good. Because remember the color is a science. And red and green, it look very good close to each other. If you mix it, it's going to be like a dirty color. We call dirty color. And blue, violet, and yellow, they are very good friend of color. But if you mix it, it's a dirty color. So there is enough for every color. So if I do a strong red, it should be even a strong green, but it just is the balance. Yeah.
I've always heard that you should put your focal point on one of those cross sections of your rule of thirds.
Right, right.
Yours is below and to the side of one.
Okay, but that's why this is the variation of the classic. And I'm going to explain something to you, which is very important. I'll explain. You see that we have a 4 point. In fact, I got something special I want to, if you're interested to see. Okay, here we are. Okay. Here the two combinations, the same combination, the same idea. So the 4 point is because if you do, let me paint it over it quickly. Okay, I have a left over. Let's say we have landscape here. So the law is the landscape 1 space and the rest of the sky 2 spaces. Now if I do, for example, a tree something here or the house, whatever it is I do here, the balance is going to be here. So it's very simple. If I choose to do two sky, and 1 landscape here. No, it should be vice versa. I forgot about it. It should be like this. Well, if you want this a sky, let's take this is a sky, and this is the land in the bottom. This is the land. I will do it in a moment. this is the sky. I decide to do one sky and two landscape. If I put a house, for example, I decide to put a house here or there, or plane, whatever you want to, you have to balance the way. Or you start here, you balance the other way. So there is so many ways to balance a landscape. Now there is an exception. There is a, like this, for example, I don't have to go exactly to the rule. It is an idea how to start, but then you can change. You have a limitation, and you have a, for example, 2 and 1. Is in the sky is like this is 2 and 1. So what I did, for example, you see, I have a very little space, but we call it compensation. The one I took it from here, I add over here. So it called the law of compensation. And everything is mathematical.
So you're saying as long as you have taken a focal point from this third and a focal point, balance point
Right.
on that third, that you can move them and take some artistic license. and-
Exactly, you have to figure out how, but all we have to think about balance and composition and color. That is very important. And that today this is an idea, fresh, we call instant painting. When I used to be young, I used to travel the world, and we have our competition, 10 to 12, for example. We had 2 hours. We used to choose the plaza, we used to choose some places, and we had 2 hours to paint. And that's the first intention. We call it macchiaiolo. You know, macchia in Italian is like a spot. And this is the first impression. And this is a good training, it's a good way to work. And I did a lot, hundreds in Buenos Aires, in Puerto Rico, and many places in the world where I used to go. And I used to put my easel in some place, and I did it in less than 2 hours, a still life or seascape or cityscape. And the perspective is very important too. In this case, there's no perspective here, it's just the front, right? But anyway, this is an idea of what you can do sometime in a short time.
Yeah.
Other question? Yeah? No.
Are you going to give it a name?
Just landscape, because there's no particularly.
But it's for the San Jose Clinic.
For San Jose Clinic, and then it's an idea creation. Because I can do a Venice here, I did many times, beautiful sky, and then I put Venice. You see. Or seascape, whatever it is.
Are you finished now?
Yeah, I was just, it's just 5:30.
Dr. Loro, just using our imaginations,
Yeah.
could you guide us through this painting and show us what would not work? Using what you have right there.
Yeah.
And the compositions, that it's all perfectly balanced and mathematical. But if we took and just expanded some colors or shortened some, could you sort of guide us through this painting that it would be, as you call it, fall down? That
Yeah.
it would not work?
Well, for example, there's many details that you don't see at the moment. But for example, what the reason I did this? And if you look again to the mathematical composition is 1, 2 space, and 3 space. That's why I did this. And this little detail right here is going to this part. So the 4 point we have, 1 point and 1 point. So this is balanced this. Remember when I showed you the little card? It's just, because if you do straight without this, it's monotonous, it doesn't say anything. And this is very important to do little things that people don't understand, but they say, but look good. You know, art sometimes, like a painting, like a music, they don't have explanation. You have to feel according to the feeling of a person. They like it or don't like it. It can be a masterpiece, maybe they don't like it. In music, the same thing. A great music, some people say, oh, boring music. But, you know, it's just the way everyone has different feeling. I appreciate very much your like by your kid today, and I have an intention in the future to do a portrait or a figure. Somebody of you want to model, we can do that. And we're gonna do sometime the section of how to create a good still life or a flower. You see, there's so many ways to do a beautiful seascape. It can be a section of different sections. But I would be glad if somebody want to pose and we'll do a nice figure, live figure.
Naked.
No, not naked, no.
We don't see any in here of Gretchen, do we?
No, but I did a figure.
That's Gretchen over there.
I did figure for many years, you know, it's so beautiful, because also it's all mathematical. You know, when you start to do the anatomy, and then I studied myology, osteology, I know every piece of the bones, every piece of the muscle. So you can create even without. But the model is important, the reference, the pose, how you do it. The same thing when I go to a site, see the landscape. I like the tree, and sometimes I move the tree because, you know, balance it, so that, you know, it's something like this. But it's beautiful. Figures is just beautiful. And the portrait, I wish I knew how to do a portrait. And in a couple hours you can build a beautiful face. So, well, I'm really pleased I'm very happy that all of you was here today. And I hope to see you